Hello. You know how this goes by now. Welcome to another wet day in the north. Well, Manchester. You can argue whether or not that's the north. I'm on my way back from one of the weekly runs that this car does, dropping one of the kids off, and thinking about what's next, because usable as this car is and pleased with it as I am, as we are, it's not perfect. There's a lot of things we could improve. It's a bit slow, the range isn't great, it's cold now that it's winter, it's not pretty either. I mean, let's be honest, it's a bit shabby. And so I want to fix that. I want to make this into the car that I want to drive, I want to be seen in, a car I can be really, really proud of. And there's a lot of work to do. A lot of it I've started, but there is a plan, and I thought you might be interested to see the plan. If nothing else, because it gives you an idea of what videos are going to be coming up on the channel. And also importantly, it holds me to a bunch of plans. It's a commitment by me to say, yeah, I'm going to do these things, maybe not overnight. It's probably going to take next year. Certainly given how long the original car took, 15 months. But we'll get there, and we'll turn this car into an absolute showstopper. And I hope you'll join me as I do. So, this video, this is the plan. So here's the plan. 10 steps that are going to transform my EV conversion into something that I'm really proud to be seen in and I like to drive. First step, really important, is the battery box. Right now it's too large, it obstructs too much of the engine bay, and I need to rearrange things in order to create some more space. As you can see here, it's pretty tall, there's actually a lot of wasted space in there, and the stacking of the batteries means that it's fairly inefficient. This is what I'm going to move to, turning the batteries on their side. They're going to drop down lower in the engine bay and create some space above, which allows me to do other stuff. I've laid all this out in CAD, and actually I've already started fabricating this, which you will see in videos coming shortly. A 2x2 rail around the outside, and then a wrap of steel to make it watertight and give it some strength. Once I've done this, I can actually relocate the charger. This creates space for other things that I'm going to do further down the line. Right now the charger's up alongside the inverter, but it's going to drop down on top of the battery box. This moves it forward in the engine bay. Should make connecting up easier, particularly once I bring the high voltage junction box up there as well. I'm going to need a bigger junction box because I'm adding a second battery pack, which is coming up later in the plans. This means I can run some direct wiring out of the battery box into the junction box directly across to the charger, and then a couple of different ones out to pack 2 and up to the inverter. Once I've done this, I can look at the new motor, and this is a really big upgrade, adding more power, more torque, hopefully some better acceleration characteristics, and no more cutouts. You can see a side-by-side comparison of my current motor and my new motor here. Much flatter performance in terms of power, and about 50% more torque at low revs. Should make a massive difference to the performance of the car. Obviously, to fit the new motor, I'll have to fabricate some new mounting brackets and a new adapter plate. This is something I've sketched up in CAD. It's going to be using 6mm plate and some 40mm box to make sure everything's nice and strong. And again, you'll see me fabricating this in a video in the near future. Having done that, I'm going to move the inverter around, either move it centrally or rotate it through 90 degrees to create some more space for, amongst other things, the cooling system. This is going to be expanded because my new motor is water cooled, and I'll show you some of the components here. This is my shiny new radiator off some sort of superbike, I think. This is a nice little shiny alloy header tank for all that extra water. And this is the monster fire hose pump that's going to move all that water around. Moving the inverter will also create some space for heating. And again, I'll walk you through some of the components I will be using. This is the heater unit from a Mitsubishi Outlander again. And this is my original cooling pump, the auxiliary pump from various Volkswagens and Audis. You can see how small it is compared to the replacement I'm putting in. Next up, rewiring. It's a mess at the moment, as you can see, and I want it to be all nice and tidy. Also, it's a pain in the bum to charge at the moment for these reasons. First, because I screwed up when I set up my charging mode switch and button, and so if you use those you actually blow the pre-charge relay. I'll explain why that is when I come to do the actual charging video, but that means that instead I have to leave the key in and take some fuses out when I'm charging, so that I have the right things on, like the cooling pump and the DC to DC converter, and the right things off, like the brake booster and the power steering pump. Second, because the CAN bus is not working to the inverter, and so various things cannot communicate with it to sort out automatic charging. So for all those reasons, wiring needs redoing, and I've already started making some parts and bits to do this. With the wiring done, I can move on to the last major structural upgrade, which is the second battery pack. This will give me more range and also the confidence to use the heating without diminishing the range too much. This will also actually balance out the weight distribution across the car, because it's going to sit at the back, roughly where the spare wheel was before, and will be largely a clone of the new front battery pack, with its own safety box, junction box, so that when the 12 volts is off, there's no high voltage running around the car. Then we get into the really big visual transformation, finally putting the new body on the car. It's not always going to be a ratty mess. The plan, pretty much from day one, has been to do this, the Tribute Automotive Z300S body conversion. This is a bolt-on set of fiberglass panels that replaces the existing steel and converts the Z3 to something rather inspired by a 1960s Maserati. We're ready to go with this as soon as we can find a garage to do the conversion in. I don't really want to do this on the driveway if at all possible. And finding a garage, well, that's proving challenging. I hope at some point in 2022 to be able to introduce you to my new workspace. Finally then, step 10, we come to the interior. There's a lot of work to do here. Our Z3 came with a very basic spec interior and it's not in great shape. We want things to be warmer, which the heating will help with, but some heated seats would be good as well. I'd like to upgrade the seats at the same time, fix a bunch of the gauges, redo the centre console to add a double DIN Android head unit, which will give me both additional feedback from what's going on under the bonnet, but also some nice entertainment options. And yes, I probably want to get it all retrimmed in some nice leather. Exact colours to be confirmed. Redoing the whole dash will be a total pain, so we may stick with a black theme. We may go tan, English tan, which would be my preference if we can. While my daughter and I were at the National Kit Car Show, we took lots of photos of interiors that we really liked, and we'll take inspiration from these when we finally get to this stage. But I'll probably do some tinkering along the way. So, that's the plan. This is where I've been recording all these voiceovers. If you want to see those videos over the next year, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm really enjoying the comments and the questions. It's so nice to talk to people about this project, about which I am so passionate. And if you do want to see those videos, and the next one's coming very soon, I'm well underway with the battery box, please do subscribe. Please do keep those comments and questions coming. And yeah, thanks for watching. That's it. That's the plan.